NASCAR is about to race inside an active U.S. military base. And before a single competitive lap has been turned, the drivers who've already seen this track are issuing a warning. This thing could break cars, shuffle the order, and hand the trophy to someone nobody expected. Here's why Coronado might be the most chaotic debut in modern NASCAR history. On June 21st, the Cup Series runs the Anduril 250 at Naval Base Coronado in San Diego. It is the first time in the sport's history that a race will be held inside an active military installation. The layout stretches 3-4 miles. Part of it runs over fresh public pavement. Part of it cuts straight across old military flight line concrete, the same surface where helicopters and Ospreys normally park. Two completely different surfaces stitched together into one circuit, and the cars have to handle both. Shane Van Gisbergen has already walked the course. William Byron spent over 45 minutes in the simulator just trying to memorize which corner came next. Connor Zilisch is calling it more technical than Chicago. And Chase Elliott flagged blind spots caused by military buildings surrounding portions of the track. Spotters are being stationed on rooftops, barracks, and double-decker buses just to maintain visibility. This is not a normal race weekend. To understand why this race has the garage nervous, you have to understand what NASCAR has been chasing since the Chicago street race debuted in 2023. The league has been deliberately pushing into non-traditional venues, city streets, road layouts, environments that force drivers out of their comfort zones and generate the kind of unpredictable racing that keeps casual fans locked in. Coronado is that philosophy taken to its extreme. This isn't just a street circuit, it's a military installation. The infrastructure wasn't designed for motorsport. The pavement transitions weren't planned around suspension geometry. The sidelines weren't built for a spotter network. Everything about this venue was engineered for something else entirely, and NASCAR is essentially building a racetrack on top of it from scratch. That creates consequences inside the garage. Teams show up with almost zero useful historical data. There are no lap records to benchmark against, no setup sheets passed down for previous years, no tire wear charts. Every crew chief on pit lane is effectively starting from a blank page. And the sim sessions available have been limited. Van Gisbergen noted that a 2-hour iRacing block might only yield 20 laps because the circuit takes so long to navigate. When teams are flying blind, the randomness goes up. And when randomness goes up, the running order gets scrambled in ways the championship standings don't expect. Here is the core engineering problem that every team is trying to solve right now, and it has no clean answer. The next-gen car is built to run low and stiff. The floor and the diffuser generate most of the car's aerodynamic grip, and those systems work best when the platform is planted close to the ground, with the suspension set up stiff enough to keep it there through corners. That philosophy has driven the entire development direction of the car since it was introduced. Teams have gotten progressively lower and stiffer because that is where the speed lives. Coronado demands the opposite. The surface transitions between fresh asphalt and old military concrete are abrupt. The expansion joints between sections carry real vertical displacement. Then Gisbergen compared the sensation to Sebring, a track that has spent decades destroying endurance cars. A low, stiff setup on this surface doesn't absorb those inputs, it amplifies them. The car bounces off the pavement, loses contact with the surface, and the aerodynamic platform that generates grip suddenly has nothing to grip onto. So teams can go soft and compliant, which helps ride quality, but gives up some of the downforce the car needs through the road course sections. Or they can stay low and stiff, maximize the aero platform, and risk handling cars that are a handful to drive and borderline dangerous over the rough patches. Neither choice is fully correct. That is the compromise Van Gisbergen is describing, and it is a genuine dilemma that will show up in the racing. The teams that find the best middle ground, the ones that sacrifice the least on both ends of that spectrum, are going to have a significant mechanical advantage over the field. And at a venue where track position is everything because overtaking opportunities are limited, that advantage could be worth several positions by the end of the race. There is also the strategic dimension to consider. Limited visibility from spotters stationed at unusual vantage points means communication during the race is going to be more difficult than normal. Drivers navigating blind spots around permanent structures will be making decisions with less information than they're used to. That raises the probability of incidents, and incidents at a narrow, technical street circuit tend to compress the field and redraw the competitive picture quickly. The fan reaction has been split right down the middle, which should surprise nobody who has followed NASCAR street race experiments. Part of the audience is genuinely excited. A race on a military base is a concept that doesn't exist anywhere else in global motorsport right now. The setting is dramatic. The patriotic visual of stock cars blasting past warships and fighter aircraft has obvious appeal, and the unpredictability of the event means almost any storyline is possible. The other part of the fan base is watching the driver warnings pile up and getting nervous. When Van Gisbergen, Byron, Zilisch, and Allmendinger are all independently raising concerns before the first practice session, that is not a small signal to dismiss. These are professional racers who spend their careers evaluating risk on tracks. If they are flagging the setup compromise and the surface quality before the event even begins, the concern is legitimate. The media angle will almost certainly center on Van Gisbergen. Odds makers have already made him the favorite. If he wins, the narrative writes itself. The road racing specialist with the most relevant experience in the field shows up and delivers. If he struggles, that story gets complicated fast. Van Gisbergen's experience at rough, technical street circuits like Homebush translates directly. He finds the suspension setup that the rest of the field misses, manages the surface transitions better than anyone, and delivers Trackhouse Racing an emotional win on an iconic military backdrop. NASCAR gets the viral moment it needed to legitimize Coronado as a permanent event on the calendar. The surface proves more punishing than teams anticipated. Handling cars pile up in the blind spots, caution flags stack, and the race devolves into a lottery decided by pit strategy rather than driving skill. The setup compromise hurts the most competitive cars disproportionately, and the debut becomes a cautionary tale about venue selection, the kind of result that puts future street races under a microscope. Here's the question that matters heading into June 21st. Is Coronado a genuine test of driver skill and engineering excellence, or is it a spectacle that prioritizes optics over competition? Because right now, based on everything the drivers are saying, it is impossible to know which one it will turn out to be. Drop your prediction in the comments. Who takes the Anduril 250? Does Van Gisbergen's background give him the edge, or does somebody from the traditional oval ranks figure out the setup puzzle and steal this thing? If you want race week coverage and analysis as it develops, the subscribe button is right there. We will be all over this one from practice to checkered flag.